I shouldn't I shouldn't say that with absolute certainty, but if I'm not mistaken, and somebody please correct me if I'm incorrect on this one, but that's what I've heard. I feel like in other spaces.
That's so funny because when this Charlie Kirk shit started going down, he was like adamantly messaging me back and forth with me about sending me pictures, and I'm like, all right, bro, I got to a point where I was like, listen, dude, we're just not going to agree on this, all right? And he was trying to convince me that Tyler Robinson is this was this trainee lone shooter, basically you're defending Antifa. I'm like, what the fuck? How do you get here, bro? I thought you were one of us. I thought you were over here it's the fucking Jews, and you're over here well, no, it's not. I don't know. I couldn't get there with that guy. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ryan takes a more nuanced approach than I think perhaps Truth Teller and I and a couple others would go down the path of, right? That there's something else going on. He also, we would disagree on race and kind of the racial connection of let's just call it the Jewish group or empire or people. But yeah, when it comes to 9/11, to that question that was asked, I do think the truth is going to come out around that day, that event. Obviously, it was an atrocity. I do think Building 7 was clearly controlled demolition based on what I've seen, based on the evidence, the support, the idea that there were...
Ian. He admitted it. He said he'd pull it, right?
The pull it quote, and Ryan, again, can share the context around that. I think perhaps, based on at least what I've heard from him and a little bit of research on that specific quote, I don't think that one's necessarily relevant, but the video footage certainly looks beyond funny. The idea that it was a building fire that was a consequence of some of the adjacent rubble from the other two towers, it just seems really unbelievably difficult to believe that, especially given all the other things that we know. And you can go down the different explosives in the building. We can go through the team of art students and all the other pieces of the puzzle, right? But the thing that we know with absolute certainty at this point is that something was off. The official narrative makes virtually no sense. If you want to buy into that, subscribe to the fact that somebody just happened to find a passport from one of the pilots at the base of the rubble. Try to imagine that. Two giant buildings have collapsed, and this guy just happens to show up, and he looks down, he's like, oh, look at this and amongst all the rubble, all the things, the broken bodies, right, that you would probably presume were there, along with all the other nonsense and chaos and fire. And he's just like, oh, a passport. Curious. Let's see who that belongs to. I guess the guy just, flying the plane, he just rolled down the window with one of those crank handles on a 1980s vehicle before throwing it out of the driver's seat of the plane, right? It's crazy to believe that. You could also go down all the other elements that are super suspect. The fact that if I'm not mistaken, he was the New York, I don't want to say the chief of police, maybe he was the harbor police or something, but the guy who went to Israel 2 or 3 weeks prior to 9/11, he got a $250,000 grant that was never repaid. There's all these different pieces of the puzzle. We were lied to. I believe it was Israel. I think Building 7 was certainly controlled demolition. I think people are starting to notice the patterns, and the scariest piece of all of it is that the clean break memo, it basically foreshadowed 20 years of conflict that was fought for and paid for by the American people for no benefit of Americans, for what it's worth. And some clown put up the other day a comment saying that the U.S. funding and support of Israel is measly. It's only a ... I went back, and I challenge anybody to go do this. Go ask Grok the total expenditures of the U.S. government over the last 20 years. It gave me $70 trillion. Then ask how much of that was spent fighting wars and supporting, via donations and other endeavors, the Middle Eastern effort. It gave me a number that basically said 12% of all federal expenses over the last 20 years have been to the benefit of, let's just call it, the Middle East. And who is it benefiting? It's not Iran. It's not Egypt, although you could say that they get something. It's for the Greater Israel Project. And so I bring that up and I round that out just to say that 9/11, I believe, was a false flag attack that was staged by a cabal that is largely fighting for the interest of global Jewish whatever and for Israel, and that the United States has basically gone broke. It's been completely demoralized. It has lost its standing in the world. It has become an embarrassment on the global stage, and all at the expense, at the end of the day, not just of the present that we all live in, but a future where the U.S. no longer can be Team America World Police, like that funny movie by the South Park creators who, oh, by the way, yes, they are Jewish. And in the Book of Mormon, which they also produced, it has a song that is literally F you God, for what it's worth, to just round this whole thing out. That's where we are. 30 or 40 years ago, the United States was largely a rather homogenous, white, largely Christian nation where things worked pretty well. And today you have individuals celebrating materialism, vanity, hedonism, and going out on Broadway so they can watch a show where F you God is the laugh of the town. That's where we are. We essentially quasi-live in hell. But we are going to live in heaven once we're able to get rid of whatever this entity is, whether you want to prescribe it to a religion or to a nation state or a race of people, whatever. We're going to make the world better. We're going to go back to something a little bit healthier, a little bit more traditional. And in doing so, we'll basically get to an economic, a spiritual, a physical, and a financial set of calories and protein that is healthy for everybody rather than the junk food that is basically the McDonald's that we eat, the McDonald's that we consume via Netflix and YouTube and all the other garbage that's fed to everybody that demoralizes you. It makes you fat, lethargic, unhealthy, stressed, anxious, and you then satisfy those problems with SSRIs, alcohol, drugs, whether legal or otherwise, and everybody just endures another day of this. It's going to come to an end. We're going to go back to meat and potatoes, both spiritually, physically, and nutritionally, and in doing so, we will get rid of the sick empire that brought 9/11 that, yes, I do believe is ultimately going to come out, and as it does, we'll all move away from the junk food society that we've been living in my opinion anyway, largely because of the same set of interests that blew up those buildings.
No, Ian, I think you're 100% right, and it's getting put out there at a level that we've never seen before. You know, like Sean Ryan, for example, right? Like, I think over the last 2 years, like, where the fuck did Sean Ryan come from? How did this guy get this military, right? Candace is talking about the military. Sean Ryan's another one. So Sean Ryan is continuing to platform Sarah Adams, right? So Sarah Adams is like this fat slob chick. She's the one who tried to tell you. She went on the Sean Ryan podcast telling us about how Al-Qaeda is in our country. Like, bitch, no fucking shit, dude. They opened our fucking border. Why the fuck wouldn't Al-Qaeda be here? Everybody's fucking here, including Al-Qaeda, right? Like, so you're not breaking any news, sweetheart. She's this fat, ugly, like, she's not a honeypot. She couldn't be a honeypot. Like, if this is the only chick that you're like, yep, she definitely is not a fucking honeypot. That's not fucking possible. This fucking flumpy lumping over here. Like, so now she's over again. So she came on there and tried to tell you that if you believe that Building 7, right, was a terrorist attack, or if you question Building 7 collapsing, you're actually helping Al-Qaeda because Al-Qaeda knows that, and they're going to use that to basically radicalize people in our own country to try to turn them against the government. Because if you question Building 7 collapsing, you're actually helping Al-Qaeda, right? That's what she went on the Sean Ryan podcast and said. And then today she's back again, and it says Hamas is refusing to disarm. They are blaming people for being spies, burning down homes, and we've seen the public executions, right? So she's going on about these public executions and the fucking, like, the spies, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, really, bitch, who the fuck is this girl? She's some fat white chick, and what? She's like, where does she get her intel from? Like, she's not in the CIA anymore. She's not leaving the country. So does she have, like, what, ground source over there? Like, this fat bitch is this one, it's like, I don't know. I just feel like she's just constantly shilling shit for Israel and trying to lay the groundwork for whatever fucking false flag narrative is coming next, which I feel like is coming, and I just want to kind of keep warning people about that. But I'll quit yapping. I'll jump over to you. Who we got up here? We got Paul. Go ahead, Paul.
Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate the space and everybody's energy and perspectives. I've been doing this a long time, so it's great to see people engaging like this. It really is. I wanted to mention one thing that Candace said, that she kind of really breezed through it, that if you don't listen for it, you'll miss it. And she referenced the security team not applying first aid to Charlie, and she mentioned, I think she said that she could see that they weren't doing anything meaningful for him. And so it's really interesting to watch today's episode and see how she just kind of slipped that in there and moved on. So, for what it's worth, I just wanted to point that out. I thought that was a major revelation that I had not heard up to this point that deserved more sort of attention than it got. But the other thing I wanted to mention is, and I had a kind of a back and forth with Sam today online. I was kind of hoping he'd be back by now because I'd like him to hear my sort of counter to what he was saying about the exploding mic theory. And I won't dwell on it too long, but I just think that that particular theory has a lot of meat to it for a lot of different reasons, and I really don't think we can dismiss it as quickly as Sam has, because we don't have an autopsy report, which is the only way to really confirm that it wasn't that.
Why do you post every day?
The other thing is, I wanted to bring up is that whoever was recording sound off of that lav mic, was it the videographer that was standing right in front of him, or, presumably TPUSA has that recording from the lav mic, unless it just was an exploding device, and then in that case there wouldn't be any audio from it. But the other thing I wanted to mention also is that if there was an explosion at the lavalier microphone, that sound would have been transmitted through the speakers, through the handheld mic that Charlie was holding, and also the microphone that was being used to ask questions. And so, a lot of the talk about, where did the sound come from, aside from the reverberations off of the buildings and all that, the speakers probably contributed to the confusion. If you were further away from the explosion than the speakers were. And so, anyway, for what it's worth, I want to throw those things out there and to point out that there's so much circumstantial evidence that supports the exploding lav mic theory that I really do think, and it speaks to what Ian was saying, the cult of personality. I really respect Sam. I love his presentation, and I don't want to, cast any shade on him because he works hard, and I think he's tremendously intelligent and perceptive. But in this case, I disagree with him, and I just wanted to put that out there and keep that theory alive until there's something else more.
Thanks, Paul.
Sam. There's Sam. I see him now.
But I just got in. What'd I miss?
I just was
The devil himself here, right?
nothing important. Ryan says, "Okay, I'm out."
I just got in. I have no idea what's. I heard my name as I got on.
I let him say a piece. He was talking about the exploding mics. I just let him go. I don't feel like going down that rabbit hole again. But yeah, no. Sam's done the best work on the exploding mic theory, and I was the one who jumped up there with Blake Bednar's day one and broke that story. So it was like,
Look, I was open to it.
I was all about it, dude.
I've been open to it. I've been way open to it. But I just, we don't probably have time to get into it now. But it's just, I don't think it holds water anymore.
No.
It doesn't.
Well, I posted screenshots from different angles that showed the same thing at the same time. So, for what it's worth.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, let's jump over to the next hand, which is Saint Dirty Donnelly. Jump up on me.
Quite a name, Saint Dirty.
Saint Dirty, you with us? Go once. She gone. All right, let's go to Mr. Poe Quito.
Hi, that would be Poquito Retardito. How are you?
I apologize.
No, Ryan.
That means little genius in Mexican. That means little genius in Mexican, right?
I think so, but I wouldn't know because I'm Poquito Retardito, so I'm just a little retarded. All right.
Yes.
So I just wanted to let you know, Ryan, that I sent you a video. It was a TikTok I just saw tonight, and it's about 10 seconds long. And so anyway, I recorded it and sent it. I put it on here in the comments, and I sent it to you, private message, and I'm just trying to get it out there because it shows a bullet coming between his knees up from the ground, and you can see it hit the t-shirt and blow off the necklace and go up into his neck. And so I know the trap door is to the left of him. I saw your old post on that, but someone could have gone down the trap door and put something like made a place to where they could, like dug a hole or position something there where they could shoot Charlie from underground. Because one of the first things Candace...
Well, they wouldn't need to do that, though. They have drones that are the size, literally the size of like a thing. It's like sits in your palm. They could easily flown a drone, and they had the little drone the size of a fucking quarter, put a bullet through his head from anywhere at any point, so...
Well, look at the video. It actually shows the bullet hitting the t-shirt.
But you can't film at, you're saying, look at a video that's filming at 30 frames per second, okay? Let's just do this simple math on that. If you're filming at 30 frames per second and a rifle's shooting at 15 feet per second, that means that in a single frame, like you have 30 frames in a photo, 30 frames per second, right? That's what almost every camera's filming at. In that individual frame, right, if you are moving one frame by frame, that's 1/30th of a second. In 1/30th of a second, a bullet is going to move 45 feet, traveling at 1,500 feet per second. Let's go. Okay. Say the handgun. Say the handgun is 1,700 or 700 feet per second. Then you go, okay. Well, so then now you're 25 feet of movement. Do you understand where I'm going with this one? Like.
Do you think people are making up videos and putting bullets in them just to fool people?
It's not bullets. You're like, oh, it'll be. I've seen 2 frames, and like you can't stop a bullet in a frame. You understand what I'm saying? Like it is mathematically impossible.
Yeah. Well,
like look at the Trump shooting, right? That person who took the magic bullet of Trump when Trump got shot, right? Mm-hmm. And you see it, it's a streak, right? Yeah, that guy's camera settings were shooting at like 128 thousandths of a second. So that would be like shooting at 128,000 frames per second. Right?
Well,
that's how fast the shutter speed is. I've been down that rabbit hole. I've seen them all.
Seen it already?
Yeah, so
okay.
I'm just telling you, it's not possible to film a bullet traveling at, you just can't. It's just not feasibly possible. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's too bad because it looks like something. But all right.
All right, thanks. All right, who's up next? We got
Mike's hands up here.
Rala. Oh, Blake. I'll do Rala and go to Blake.
I'll be really quick. So thanks for the mic, Ryan. Your spaces are great. I'm usually in the listeners. Don't like to come up, but there's something I wanted to, because there's so many truth tellers here. Just wanted to throw something out there. So I think it was yesterday, Golf Troy had a space on 3i Atlas. If you want, I can share that space. I recommend everyone to listen to it if you missed it. But there was something that was mentioned and it got me curious. So I did some research, and it there was like 4 big tech CTOs or chief product officers that were directly commissioned as a lieutenant colonel in our U.S. Army Reserves. That is really strange. I wonder if you guys have something on it. So one was Shyam Sankar. He's CTO of Palantir. Then there's Andrew Bosworth. He's CTO of Meta Platforms. And then Kevin Veal, Chief Product Officer at OpenAI. And then Bob McGraw. He was former Chief Research Officer at OpenAI, and then later he was advisor at Thinking Machines Lab. So they were all four of them were made lieutenant colonel, which is really weird. And so Godfrey was mainly talking about how they're gonna bring in like control and everything through the force, the army and everything. So what do you guys think? Yeah, curious.
Go on, Tim, you want to take that one?
Sam?
Oh, I didn't hear. What now? Sorry, somebody was calling me on the other line just then. What?
Okay, so
I
didn't
missed what you
know
said.
your
there was four CTOs or chief product officers of like technology companies like big tech, and so CTO of Palantir, CTO of Meta Platform, of OpenAI, and Thinking Machine Labs. They were made directly, they're commissioned as lieutenant colonel in U.S. Army Reserve. So just curious, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I saw that. I don't like it at all, to be honest. They're more openly and overtly militarizing the social media platforms. And this is a theme that we've talked about in the past on this space, that Twitter is not the free speech, open communication, innocent, free speech platform that you think it is. It's a militarized intelligence operation. That many people are taking advantage of and utilizing, and that's just under the surface on that. So just to be quick and brief, yeah, it's troubling, and I don't like it at all.
Blake, jump on here, brother.
What's up, everyone? All right, so first off, I posted something, a couple things, but one thing in particular down in the chat, it is the trapdoor. Stop talking about it. It's not even in line with where Charlie, it is around the table, and it's right in front of a fuck ton of people. Stop talking about the trapdoor, okay? Look at the chat right now and just look for yourself at how fucking impossible what you're thinking or describing. Like, walk through that, okay? That is a screenshot of a video that was taken by Christian Overton, who was right there on the front row with his son. The fucking trapdoor was right there. Nobody went down the trapdoor. The trapdoor didn't fucking move. It's impossible. Stop talking about the fucking trapdoor, please.
Thank you, Blake. I put that up in the nest for everybody, in case you have trouble finding it. It's just insane. And I'm sorry, we do have to be honest about some of these theories. We entertained some of them for a while we're collecting data, but now we're triaging and sifting through the data, and we're getting rid of the stuff that doesn't work. That's what we're doing, right? We're trying to narrow our focus and focus our resources, and we're not stopping any. If you want to keep going after the trapdoor, have at it. Like, I agree with Blake.
Just start your own space. Just start your own trapdoor space, and don't come on here and crush the vibe. Okay, second thing, and Sam, dude, I love you, dog, but I'm gonna do a minor dissent, okay? And Ryan, don't hate.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so it's not necessarily the lava mic. Okay, I am on the necklace. Okay, and let me just explain a little bit of a backstory to it, okay? And my one only dissension from Sam's wonderfully put together video, it is the fact that the shirt and necklace are moving in multiple frames with the absence of a wound until the shirt comes down and the wound appears. That does not make a bit of sense on any sort of level, and I have tested this out this past weekend with a few of my buddies, one of them of which went to the same sniper school that Gary went to, okay? And I'm telling you right now that the absence of a wound in all of those videos prior to the necklace and shirt jumping off his body is impossible, okay? And I understand there might be a question of different frame rates or whatnot, but in every single demonstration on a cavitation illustration, there is a blowback of the skin, whether it's a gel block, a piece of meat, whatever it is. You don't have the neck or whatever you're shooting at completely untouched, but everything else around it move. That's impossible. And we tested this out. We're making a video, and I'm telling you, I'm going to even go even harder. I just wanted to see if it was going to be worth my time in looking at, because I've been talking to Gary Melton about it, and I don't know what his time frame is on it. Well, I got moving real quick on it, and I just happened to be out in BFE over the weekend in Colorado, and so we tested it out, okay? And it was absolutely shocking, okay? So with that, Ryan, with your blessing, I would like to play just a 1-minute video of the pastor Frank Turek with an interview. And everyone, I want you to listen to exactly what he is describing to Megyn Kelly. And Megyn Kelly, this expert litigator, lawyer, interviewer, did not think to push back on this. Please listen to this.
And they roped off the vehicle that we took out of there as a crime scene. I don't know why. It wasn't part of the crime scene, really. So we couldn't get into the vehicle until the FBI cleared it. And it so happened that Charlie, in the back seat below him, between these two bucket seats, was my computer bag. So everything, I couldn't go anywhere. My wallet was in there. I wasn't going anywhere anyway, but I had to go in and get that out. And so when they finally cleared it, I got into the car and I pulled out my bag, and draped over my bag was Charlie's necklace that had a cross and medallions on it. And I had heard they were looking for that. And so the cop was like, "Oh, we've been looking for that." I said, "I got it." So I just took it.
I don't understand this. I saw the necklace.
Okay, does anybody want to take a stab at the fucking massive problem?
Yeah, I will, Blake. I will. And I'm glad that you brought this up. This is actually, Blake has just brought up many, many important points, some of which I wanted to bring up too, so I'm glad you brought them up. He talks about the medallions. And number one, there's a lot of problems. Like, why did the FBI find the necklace when
The
they
FBI?
That's a problem.
Are they the top dog of law enforcement? They just cleared the vehicle, and then all of a sudden, the necklace that exploded off his body is somehow in there. There's a reason that they keep talking about the fucking necklace, and it's because they want you to think it's still in existence, when in fact, I think it exploded.
Okay, well, let me address that, Blake. He's bringing up some really great things, and I don't have all the answers to this either, so let's explore it. So there are inconsistencies in the necklace story. Let's start at the beginning. Erica Kirk says that the medics ripped it from his body. Now, I'm not saying she lied about that. Obviously, she wasn't there, so whatever she's repeating, she's been told by somebody, right? So she says that the necklace was torn from his body by the medics when they were, tending to him. Of course, we can see from the video that that's not true. It's blown apart off of his body. That we can see that. That's number one. So that's not true. It's an inconsistency, let's call it. The next thing is this whole Frank Turek debacle. The FBI doing the vehicle, not finding the necklace, but then Frank Turek finds the necklace in the vehicle with medallions. Right? He says it's got medallions on it. Here's the problem. The necklace that Erica Kirk holds out her SUV that we're led to believe is the same necklace that Charlie was wearing doesn't have any medallions on it. That's number one. Number two, people have found old pictures of Charlie wearing a cross necklace, and it doesn't have any medallions. So we have several inconsistencies. We have Erica saying it was removed by the medics. That's not true. We have Frank Turek saying it has medallions. That doesn't seem to be true. Nobody's produced the actual, an actual verified, this is the necklace with the medallions. There is no such picture or image in existence. The images we do have, there's two competing images. Neither have medallions. And then there's this whole odd, bizarre thing where the FBI sweeps the vehicle, doesn't find the necklace. Frank Turek finds it laying on top of the computer bag. How did it get in the van after it's blown off of Charlie? Why are they saying these inconsistent details? So there is something there. I'm not sure what it means, Blake. Is it embellishment? Are they trying to create a feel-good story with the necklace? Is it just some sort of, like one of those little white lies to help people feel good about things? Maybe it's ultimately meaningless. Maybe it means something. But there is something weird going on with the necklace narrative. I completely admit that. There's something
It's
weird.
a subconscious psychological effect that they're trying to talk it into existence because it played such, and this is my opinion, okay? Like I said, it's just a minor dissent, that they're talking about it so often, and it's such a key part back in the early days because it was such a pivotal component. This was a subconscious psychological thing that they're doing. They're talking it into existence because they don't want anyone to focus in on the necklace. So the easiest thing to do and the thing to do is just start talking about it, that it's still in existence. It was found by Frank after the top dog law enforcement agency of the United States, the FBI, cleared the vehicle. And then Frank, investigator Frank finds it and hands it over to the police. Why they were looking for it? Why were they looking for it? I mean, what's the deal? Why?
There's a lot of oddity around it, but I do want to address your previous talking points about the entry wound, exit wound, the necklace mechanics of the possible explosion. What I want to address your talking points there. Number one, here's why I don't think that the necklace exploded. Because if the necklace exploded, it destroys the necklace. But we can clearly see that the swoop that goes up over his left shoulder, we can see clearly defined lines. That is because of the cross or the pendant is being pushed up into the shirt, pulled or pushed up into the shirt by the force, by a force, okay? Now, if that is what had exploded, it would have obliterated that and would not have maintained a structural integrity to create that upward swooping shape. That's number one. Number two, it would have created a singe or a hole or some sort of explosion under the shirt. That's not what happens. It merely stretches the fabric and then relaxes. So I don't think that there is an incendiary device there. It would have made a hole. It would have destroyed the structural integrity of the pendant. It wouldn't have been able to create that swoop that then dissipated. I don't think the mechanics work. That's number one.
So percussive charge. We're gonna. There's gonna be some stuff coming tomorrow.
Okay. Well, I look forward to that. So now that's number one. Number two, with respect to the entry wound or the wound appearing after the swoop, right? If you look at the video that I have access to, maybe there's higher quality video that I haven't seen yet, but the video I've seen, his neck massively expands. It probably expands, maybe almost doubles in width. Okay, almost doubles in width, and the white T-shirt is drawn upwards, and his chin is kind of down, and his entire neck area is covered. Okay, it's entirely covered as that swoop goes up over the left shoulder. Then the T-shirt comes down, relaxes. Then we see the wound. My point is we don't really get a good look at the neck before it gets covered over by the cavitation, shockwave, and the shirt. We don't get a good look at it before that. And what I will say is, if you watch in slow motion, Charlie's eyes close and his face kind of grimaces and goes blank first. Then you see the chest expansion and the T-shirt cover his neck, and his neck expand. Then you see it relax down, and then you see the bloody hole. And so what I submit is, I think it's just an artifact of frame rates and camera quality that you don't see an entry wound, because it doesn't get captured, because it gets covered up by the shirt and the shockwave expansion first. And then when it relaxes, then you can see it. But you can see Charlie's eyes close and his face slightly wince or grimace before that shockwave expands and covers the neck. And I think that's the moment when the bullet has gone through and knocked him out.
Fair enough, man. Hey, Sam, I appreciate the...
No, absolutely. But listen, I'm willing to be wrong, folks. I'm willing to be wrong, but I'm laying out why I don't think this is correct. Now, we
have a healthy marriage right here. We are talking, we're communicating healthily back and forth. This is what it's supposed to be about, not about just completely, going for, I don't want to say the neck, but just trying to kill the other opponent. That's not what this is about. But Ryan, last thing, and then I'm gonna say goodnight to everyone. Shinzo Abe, hot damn. That is wild, huh?
You know, there's another parallel there, Blake, that Brian I didn't really bring out, but I don't blame you for this. The only other modern assassination that parallels the Charlie Kirk assassination is the Shinzo Abe assassination. And what I mean by that is it was being live streamed to like hundreds of thousands or millions of people on the internet when he was giving that speech. And up until Charlie Kirk, that Shinzo Abe was the most public assassination in the history of the world. And so I think that he and Charlie Kirk kind of share something now because Charlie's obviously worldwide mega platinum viral, right? And so they now are joined, they're joined at that, in that fashion too, being a 21st century assassination in front of the eyes of the world in real time.
Let me just throw it out there that you both could be right. If I was an intelligence agency, what would I do? I'd put Tyler Robinson up on the roof. I'd put a second shooter somewhere else. And backup number 3 is I'd put something small, explosive, not to kill him, but to throw him off balance, tackle him to the ground if the shot missed, and then put a bullet in him when he's on the ground. I don't think Charlie was out of there alive.
Could be, obviously could be, and I agree, you want to have a fail-safe or a backup plan, but I'm just seeing no evidence of an explosion anywhere. Like, there's no shirt singeing anywhere, there's no holes. You know, there just isn't anything like that. And I
think it's a fair point that both sides can agree on that even if the necklace did explode, or in a sense, we can still be looking for another guilty party. And that's kind of the people that I don't either. The people that can't get past Rick Cutler, that can't get past the explosion, it could be something to throw them off balance to where they're going to tackle them on the ground and then put a bullet in them as a backup. So we can still be looking for somebody else.
I do think it's fruitful to keep going after the necklace, as we said. There's a lot of strange conflicting talking points about it. It is very weird. Blake brings up a lot of good points. And okay, maybe there was some sort of necklace explosion to create a distraction or something. It's sort of like oddly synchronized with the shot to the neck. Also, I don't think the necklace, if it did explode, could possibly be responsible for the cavitation shock wave that undulates through Charlie's body, reverts out his neck, down his back, up through his chest, and out and through his neck. It's far too expansive for an external percussive explosion to create that effect. I think the only thing that can create that effect is like a higher energy round entering through his neck or somewhere in his upper torso, right? That creates that massive Stay Puft Marshmallow expansion, if you will. I'm not trying to be crass, I'm just trying to be descriptive for people, because that's what he looks like when he expands. He looks like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man for an instant. And the last thing I want to say about this is, remember, folks, this all happens in the matter of a few milliseconds. Now, a camera with a frame rate of 60 frames per second, that's about 17 milliseconds per frame. And this entire shockwave episode probably only lasted about between 10 and 20 milliseconds. So this is why we have a couple angles where we see like a couple views of the cavitation shockwave, because, you know, it was basically, it got caught on, like, this camera caught it on that frame and that camera caught it on another frame. And so we have like 2 or 3 frames of it. So it is kind of herky-jerky. It's hard to figure out, but even if the necklace is exploding, it can't create that overpressure expansion that we see that fills Charlie, right? It can't do that. So at best, it's a secondary device or some sort of supplementary action to go along with the main event, if that makes sense.
It would explain his shirt, though, wouldn't it? The bullet explains the body and the.
Well, I think the pendant obviously swings up under the shirt in that swooping over the left shoulder fashion. That is absolutely the pendant doing that. I think that's the pendant doing that. I mean, nobody's been able to explain what else it could be. And in my video, if you watch, you can see the other side of the necklace whip around the right side of his head. It whips around, and then it falls down dangling, with the other end still attached right underneath the shirt collar. And so I have interpreted that as it's acting as sort of like a grappling hook, right? It's this pendant or this cross, the end of it, that's still caught inside the shirt, and the rest of the chain is dangling down. And so that's another reason why I don't think it's exploded, because the chain doesn't actually fully leave Charlie's body. It's still caught in his shirt. It's still caught because the pendant's still caught. And the pennant's still caught because the pennant hasn't been destroyed. Right? It hasn't been destroyed by an explosion or a blast. Right? That's how I see it. Could be wrong, but that's how I see it.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, let's tap in with John, and I think that's the last hand. Joe, I don't know if your hand was up or not.
Yeah, it's up, and I shared this video with Ryan like 3 days in, and he retweeted it about the back of the shirt. Because I don't know if Ryan, if you remember that you had retweeted it. Sam, I don't know if your theory is the bull came from the front or the back. Can you just clarify?
I have not taken a super hard position on that. I'm allowing that to play out, but I think there's no question that there is some sort of high velocity round that had to have entered him to create the Stay Puft effect, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm not taking a solid 100% position yet on the angle or site of entry or end exit on that. Yeah, I'm not taking a hard position. I suspect it did come from the front at an angle, at a downward angle. That's my suspicion, but I am not like forever married to that theory.
Okay. Because here's my theory, and I shared this with Ryan really early, like 3 days in, and then actually had a friend do a test to see if I was correct, because the necklace does fly off of him, but it flies off from the front to the back, right?
It whips around. Yeah, the right side whips around, right?
Yeah, we did that several times to see what would happen, and it only happens if you shoot it from the back, that it like breaks and whips, because the chain would whip, right? And it whips upward and then over his head. Plus, if it came in from the front, there's no chain where his neck is hit, right? And then number 3 is, if you look at your ballistics gel video, right, where does it puff up? At the entry or at the exit?
Oh, I would say
it puffs up at the exit. The back
right, and that's why his back is blown out, because that's like of course it doesn't exit, but that is where the exit would be.
Yeah, but the front of his neck is what blew up.
my petition.
No, maybe you haven't seen the other angles, but we have some good shots that show his back expanding outwards and his chest expanding outwards and his neck expanding outwards. We have views of all 3 of those.
Yeah, the back of his shirt is the first thing to move, right?
That's right, and that's what jerks. That's what imparts a backwards force on the chain first.
Okay, could be. Okay, I'm not saying it's not. I believe it's the entry. Okay.
And I don't trust you. I don't know how else to better say it. It's just they're just Jews. It's just better than they're just Jews. They're just untrustworthy. They're stinky. They're smelly. They're kind of fucking ugly. And that's just how they are. They're inbreds. I don't know how else to explain it. Ian, you want to jump in on that?
But Ryan, let's take that's a quote unquote a lower IQ take, and that's not a pejorative. It's just being descriptive, right? That's sort of a low hanging fruit take. Let's take a higher road take, the Cyanine. Some of you know about the Cyanine, which is basically a worldwide Mossad intelligence program that recruits rank and file, regular, everyday, normal Jews around the world to aid Israel and Mossad and Israeli intelligence in carrying out their operations. Okay? This comprises perhaps tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of rank and file Jews around the world who are on lists and who are enlisted to help the Mossad carry out their operations. And this is well documented. You can get online. You can read about it. You can read about it in Ronan Bergman's Rise and Kill First, I believe. I think that's one of the books. The other book is Victor Ostrovsky's The Other Side of Deception. And by way of deception, he wrote 2 books about it. He's given lectures about it. We know the Cyanine are a real thing. So just off the top of the head, we know that there are rank-and-file Jews in law enforcement, in the medical industry, in banking.
My dad's Mossad and he never told me.
That aid Israel in carrying out these operations. There's an interesting statistic that Victor Ostrovsky, who himself is a Jew, former member of the Mossad, tells about the Cyanine. He says, of all the Jews that the Mossad approaches to become a Cyanine, that's the singular, to become a Cyan, he says only about 30% of Jews say yes. 70% say no. He says, but none of them will tattle. So like Israeli intelligence comes to me and says, hey, we see that you're a doctor. Would you be willing to provide emergency services if one of our agents, here or whatever? And the doctor, 30% chance he might say yes. 70% chance he might say no. What if he says no? Well, then he also keeps his mouth shut too. He doesn't tattle. He doesn't say, hey, I tried to get this foreign intelligence service tried to recruit me. That doesn't happen, right? So Ostrowski tells us, he's like, even for the Jews who don't say yes, they also don't tattle. So until the Jewish community gets real about this and begins holding themselves accountable, they've simply forced our hand. To Ryan's point, like, how do we trust them? Hard to trust when there's tens or hundreds of thousands of them that keep silent about Israeli intelligence penetration of our institutions in our countries.
Yep. Thanks, Sam. I see you guys give the high IQ shit. I just over here like, fuck it, they're Jewish. I don't trust them.
We gotta have both, Ryan. We gotta have both.
Right on, brother. Right on, my man. Hopefully they answer your question, John. Let's jump over to Beck. Did you have something you wanted to say? I'm gonna start cycling people down.
Wait, do you also think Indians are stinky, smelly scammers, or is it just Jews?
Right on, brother.
What about
right
Saudis?
Hopefully they
Anybody
answer your
else?
question, John. Let's jump over to Beck. Did you have something you wanted to say? I'm gonna start cycling people down.
Wait, you also... Oh, we lost him. He dropped off.
What's up, everybody? What's up, Mace? Long time. Just wanted to say, you don't got to be an expert. You don't got to be nothing. The whole thing stinks from left to right, from any angle. From here we are, a month plus later. If you can't see it, I don't know. But it's not what they're telling us. That was a hit. And
Beck, is this Beck speaking?
Yeah.
Beck, do you know that you're basically like a porn addict, according to Blake Neff? If you're asking questions and obsessed with this, that you're basically like a porn addict. Did you know that? Did you hear that clip from 2 days ago?
No, I didn't, brother. I've been on the front lines on podcasts, but there was certain things I didn't agree with about Kirk, but I didn't agree with what happened to him. It was an attack on the First Amendment, period, and it's an attack on everybody, whether you agree with him or not. Especially when it came to my faith, but I still agreed with his right to say it. That was an attack on every American, whether they realize it or not.
All the Jews that Mossad approaches to the outside. If you wanted to add something to
Yeah, I just throw a little bit of, and I have to say, Ryan, not sure if you remember the Dave Chappelle skit from the Chappelle Show back in the day with Clayton Bigsby, where he says, "I don't like them and they stink," referring ironically to black people. And for those that haven't seen the skit, it's Dave Chappelle, who is a black white supremacist who's blind and doesn't realize that that's what he is. When he said that, I found myself laughing, thinking back to that scene. But I add that as a little bit of levity before maybe being a little bit more serious or sincere. And look, the challenge with this issue, it's almost like trying to deal with an individual who is anorexic. And I say that because if you go up to somebody that you care about that is dealing with that mental illness, it's going to be an uncomfortable conversation. You're probably going to hurt the person's feelings. And unfortunately, Jews in the West are going to have to come to grips with the fact that their feelings are going to have to be heard if they believe that their people, their interests, or the nation of Israel has not ever done anything wrong. They're going to have to accept that. And the challenge is, especially on this topic, that the West has basically been told for a long time that they are, in many ways, the villains. Right? You've got white supremacy, it's the big bad thing. White privilege, that was a big thing. Whites in the slave trade, that was a thing. I know all of these things because I've been told that I should be ashamed of all of these things for a long time. And then you start to look around and I recognize, well, some of those things actually are real. In fact, if I look up, for example, privilege, it seems like there's a different group that is privileged. It seems like there's a different group that believes in supremacy, so much so that they feel entitled to share it. they religiously will even suggest that they are chosen. It's not what my religion says. My religion says that all good people are going to be treated well and go to heaven. Theirs says they are chosen and I am an animal. That's weird. You might say that that is supremacy. We could then go into the slave trade, and well, that's another conversation we could have.
Oh, sorry.
That also perhaps has roots in many groups, not just those that are white. And I say this because at the same time, the whites have been shamed about their past. Well, another group has been constantly told their entire life.
Crazy people. Go to JohnForCongress.com.
That's the building of our country right there, Mr. Cutting.
How much was it? How much was it?
They gave it to me.
So you're not gonna tell me how much was it?
Okay, they gave it to me.
I don't believe you.
Why?
How are they gonna give you something like that?
They gave this. They gave them like, hey.
How much was it? How much was it? Can y'all please?
Just to make sure your kids and your rent is paid for. That's the delta.
Yeah.
He said Marshall
Yeah,
Mathers
there's
is
stuff that they can
flagrant.
do. Just them choosing to do it. One of my best friends, her husband, retired from the NBA, and you know. No.
Oh.
I forgot the name. I was good. Have you gone under a different name, Toast?
No, never.
You're not James Bradley, are you?
No.
And not Beaver? Well, not.
No.
Not technical.
Not at all.
Somebody told me about you one night. I forgot who it was though. They were like, you know this guy Chose? And I was like, no. He's like, oh my god, you guys are like the fucking same. He's like, you got shit. Me. I think maybe it was Brock? I don't know.
I think I've met Brock.